Want to do a video on manipulative people, and this is something I've had to deal with myself in my life. Thankfully not now. I've managed to position manipulative people in such a way where I don't deal with them anymore. But I have a lot of friends and family and even my clients. There's always some element of manipulation at play, and the difficulty is that we know this is happening, we're fully aware, but we're not quite sure how to deal with it. I think the first thing to know is that anyone that manipulates, they have an agenda, and the agenda is to create some sense of control for themselves. Any kind of manipulative behaviour, it's a defence mechanism, and it's covering up an insecurity inside themselves or an inadequacy inside themselves. So the manipulative behaviour could be around maintaining their own self-esteem through controlling the behaviours of other people. The manipulative behaviour could be just lying to protect some act that they're doing. Maybe they're being dishonest or behaving badly themselves, but they don't want to take responsibility for it. They don't want to shine a light on themselves, so they shine that spotlight in everybody else. It's important to note also that manipulative people, they will use whatever weapon they have at disposal, and I find the most common one is emotional blackmail, and it could be through guilt trips, they could be bringing up the past, but it could be anything. I see manipulative people who have kids, they might use the children as a pawn to control other people. But another tool they have is they use a lot of mind games, so you might see it through passive aggressive remarks. And when someone says something quite subtle and they leave you to it, that the whole function is really to force you to worry, and that's what they're trying to get you to do. They want you to walk away and reflect on what you're saying and to worry. They also use denial. Again, it's just, and that really messes with people's heads when someone behaves one way and then just completely denies doing it, or they might ignore you. I see a lot of people, again, it's part of passive aggressive behaviour. You walk into the room and they walk out. Again, it's a very subtle form of manipulation, and it's all about getting you to worry and to think about what is that, what does this mean, what does that mean, and that's how they control. Now, in trying to deal with manipulative people, the first step to me is learning to trust your own instincts. And if you're someone that's a worrier, then there will probably be a huge amount of self-doubt inside your head. Is it me? Maybe there's nothing wrong with them. Maybe it's just my perception of them. But unfortunately, that's also the best weapon that a manipulator will use. They love people who worry because they can control you more. So what I try and get people to do is trust their instincts, but more so how they feel around that person and how they feel when they think about that person, and trust those feelings, because feelings don't lie. There's a lot of truth around that. And if you get out of this place where you're constantly thinking about it and analysing the situation and just trust your gut and how you actually feel around them, that's the truth. And that gives you a strong indication that you're in a relationship with someone that is manipulating you. I think it's important to also accept that they're not a functional person and they don't have functional ways to get their own needs met. And if you're still not 100% sure if you're in a relationship with these type of people, it's important to look at their patterns of behaviour. Look at other relationships they've had in their life. Have they had difficulty? Are they rowing? Are they lying to their partner? And they've shared this with you. Look at their careers. Look at their finances. Their relationship with money. Is there dishonesty there? And also look at the lifestyle that they're leading and try and find a disparity between the type of life that they're trying to create for themselves and how they actually are in terms of the interact. I mean, for example, you hear people talking about having a great relationship with this person or that person, but then you observe their relationship and you realise that it's not as good. They're not being honest, they're not being open, and they're completely lying. So it's trying to find the fact versus fiction. They have fiction in their head, you need to find the facts. But also try and find the different things that they struggle with. Because again, it'll just give you insight into what needs they're struggling to meet and why they're adopting this manipulative behaviour. So maybe they are struggling with relationships, maybe they are struggling with their finances or their career, and they have to manipulate to survive this. But I think the biggest thing is to not fool yourself into thinking that what you've observed with other people, their relationship with other people will not happen to you. It will. It always comes back. And I know a lot of people that they've seen unhealthy behaviours with friends around other people and other situations, and they believe that it's not going to happen to me. That happened to them, or what happened to me, but they're fooling themselves completely. It will happen to you. It'll come right back at you. The next stage, I suppose, if you're looking to detach and let go of the person, fear generally holds people in these relationships. So we start to explore what the fears are, and often the fear is of the judgment of other people, what they may say to us if we said to them, well, look, this person is manipulating and they're doing this and they're doing this and this, and I want out. And fear produces guilt, because you start to worry about what might happen to them. You feel guilty about leaving them and you worry about what might happen to them, and it keeps us embedded in this relationship. And again, you have to challenge these fears. I find that when people open up and explain the manipulative behaviour, they're much more supportive than they realise, and that they realise realise there's no need to be afraid, and people value them just for who they are, not for the role that they may have taken in the relationship with a manipulative person. Another thing I try and get to do is really depersonalise the behaviour of the manipulative person towards them, and that's a very hard thing to do, and that's just a difficult thing in life, is to depersonalise any negative behaviour towards us, even if it's anger or people shouting at us or being aggressive towards us. In most cases it has nothing to do with, in some cases it does, but in a lot of cases it's not directly you. It's stuff from their own past that they're bringing into the present relationship, and by depersonalising it, you don't internalise the remarks that they say, the guilt trips, the attempt to put you down, but by personalising it, we see it as a reflection on us, and it's not, it's a reflection on them. And when we do start to internalise what's happening and it affects us so negatively, we may go into a self-pity mode. And again, you have to nip that in the bud quite quickly, because really it just disables your ability to move on and make a decision yourself. If you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're asking, well, why is this person treating me this way, and I didn't do anything wrong, and it just creates this cycle of self-pity, and it's not productive, it's not helpful, and it really won't make any difference to the situation. Often when people are struggling to break away from someone who is a manipulative person or a narcissist or anything else, I ask them how much they value their independence. And everyone says, oh, I do, but at what cost? Are you prepared to walk away from an unhealthy relationship? And often people aren't prepared to walk away from the relationship. And to me, that's I understand how difficult it is to walk away. But you're in a relationship with someone who is using you. So you're in a codependent relationship because you're waiting for them to change. You're waiting for them to be a certain way. And you have to decide what's more important to you. You know, do you really truly value your own independence and your own ability to break away and live your own life and to be free of people who are using you, not for good, and they don't value you for who you are. They're just using you as a pawn to get their own needs met. I also asked them, are they going to continue to fuel the behaviour? And this is quite common. I see this all the time, where someone is behaving badly and yet people almost reward the bad behaviour. They facilitate it in some way, or they don't challenge the behaviour. If you want to accept it, it's up to you, but it's never going to change. And I mean, I meet a lot of really nice people, and that's just their nature. They're nice people and they're always quick to help, and I love having those people in my life. The only difficulty is if someone is manipulating that niceness, and it happens all the time, and we have to learn to ask yourself, well, look, are you really devalue yourself so much that you're going to fuel this behaviour, or are you going to start valuing yourself and saying, no, I'm not having this anymore? But for me, the biggest question is, do you need this person in your life? And this is when the turning point can happen, and people start to reflect on the bigger picture in their life and all their relationships and all the different roles that they've adopted, and they realise that this one person is not as important as they feel it is. And in terms of the holistic view of their entire life, this is just one component. The analogy is often a pizza slice, and you know, one slice might be work, and one slice might be your relationship with your partner, your brother, your sister, your health, your hobbies, and this person may only constitute one slice of the pizza, and you decide, do you really need that slice there anymore? Do you need this person? What does this person actually bring to your life? Are they fulfilling any of your needs? Are they actually treating you with respect? When they do, is it conditional? Is it only based on when you fulfill a certain role or you perform a certain act? Do you actually really need them? And people start to walk away and they question it, and that is the turning point when they say to themselves, I don't need this person anymore, I don't need them in my life. And they have to start acting that, though. Once you come to that realization, you need to believe that and act on those beliefs, and stop placating their behaviours, stop even looking at them, stop even thinking about them, stop energizing the relationship, and just let them go. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's a very important thing to do, because the manipulator will not change, and I guarantee you they will probably just move on to the next person. But unfortunately, it's up to the next person to deal with them and decide for themselves. It only reaches a point when the manipulator has no one to go, and the only way for that to happen is if everyone shines a spotlight on themselves and deals with their own issues and asks themselves why this person ended up in their relationship. So that's it, guys. I'll leave you to it. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you next week. Take care.